I have decided to present my evaluation in the form of audio over screenshots, clips and images. In what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? During my research stage, I analysed several trailers, magazine covers and posters, all from the horror genre, so that I could spot the conventions of these media types. I identified many common characteristics of the mise-en-scène, sound, editing, titles and other details, which I could then try to incorporate into my trailer. By understanding these conventions, I could also challenge and develop them. My trailer uses many of the conventions seen in other horror trailers. For example, the mise-en-scène is generally dark, with occasional gore and horror, such as the blood and scary face. The idea of using a hidden or surveillance camera came about when I was looking at effects on the video software. This has been done before, in films such as Paranormal Activity. However, I challenged this convention slightly by filming these shots during the day, rather than at night with an infrared camera. The static is also commonly used in films with hidden cameras, such as The Cabin in the Woods, or found footage movies, such as Cloverfield and The Blair Witch Project. I thought that the sound I used was pretty typical of the genre, because it had light tones but also faster jumpy bits. I put in the fuzz of the camera to add a sense of verisimilitude. Horror trailers usually have slow editing to begin with to build tension, and then several very fast shots. I use this technique as I think it's important to make the audience speculate on what's about to happen. I used fade transitions in and out of the titles like many other horror trailers. Most titles in horror films have some sort of movement, they don't just show text. However, it's not usually as graphic as mine was with the blood in the water. I used this because I didn't think my trailer was gory enough without it. I felt I developed the conventions of having moving or fading text on a dark background by swapping the plain background for the blood. My trailer also included the standard conventions of most trailers, such as a rating screen, production company, titles and a release date. How effective is the combination of your main product and ancillary texts? I feel that the combination of my products was quite effective. The audience would easily be able to tell that all three items were connected due to the repetition of the name of my film, Penumbra, which is done on the same typeface on all texts. I also used the same two actors in my trailer as I did in the magazine cover and poster. However, the makeup and costume is different for the scary face and the photo on the magazine cover here. The audience may not recognise that it's supposed to be the same person, as on the cover he is holding a heroic pose and looks quite majestic, while in the trailer he is a monster. I also kept other details the same throughout, such as the name of the director, shown on the magazine and poster, and the date, shown on the trailer and poster. This continuity makes my project look more professional and authentic. Having a similar look and style between the three elements links them together and would make them a successful marketing package for the film. The audience will associate them with each other and then build knowledge of the film as they see each text separately. What have you learned from your audience feedback? I have gathered a lot of audience feedback from my peers by posting drafts on various social networking sites such as Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. I also gained feedback by showing my products to different people and asking them for verbal assessment, which I filmed so I was able to later refer to. I have learnt that it's important to ask for feedback because many of the issues raised were ones that I hadn't thought of. I am not particularly a fan of the horror genre, so by asking people who enjoy these types of films, I gained more accurate suggestions for improvements that my target audience actually wanted. The feedback I received helped me to make changes to my text, which I feel has made my products more appealing to my target audience and overall made them look more professional. Having extra outside opinions really helps when you've been working on the same piece for a while. One of my main problems that people mentioned was the initial shots of the rooms through the surveillance camera were a bit long and boring. It was suggested that I should film them at night, however I didn't have time for another film shoot, so instead played around with the effects in Sony Vegas and was able to darken the shots and add an effect titled Night, which made them look a bit more sinister and less normal. Another issue that was brought to my attention through feedback was the poor lighting. Overall the shots varied in brightness and contrast, so I used effects to alter this rather than refilming bits. Sony Vegas has a large variety of effects that you can customize yourself, so this made it easy to get them at just the right light level. Several people mentioned that they particularly liked the scream halfway through the trailer, as they found it creepy. However, others said that it ruined the trailer for them, as it broke focus. This meant I had trouble deciding whether to keep it in or not, but in the end I got rid of it because I didn't think it sounded very convincing. The music was also an aspect that I changed after receiving negative feedback about it. I tried to make it more consistent throughout the trailer and line it up as best as I could with the events, and I think it turned out okay. The positive feedback that I received throughout let me know which bits my target audience liked, so I made sure to keep those bits in. Not only did this reassure me that my target audience liked some elements of my work, but it also confirmed that I was on the right track and making something that fitted the genre. How did you use media technologies in the construction and research, planning and evaluation stages? Media technologies have been an essential part in all areas of this project. During my research, I used YouTube and Internet Movie Database to search for trailers. IMDb was particularly helpful, as I could search through the horror genre, while YouTube held trailers for every film I wanted to find. This made the trailers easy to watch and rewatch so I could analyse them in detail. I also used Google and other image sharing websites to find horror magazine covers and film posters to analyse. Finding existing products was incredibly easy due to the internet. I also used a website called SurveyMonkey to construct surveys. This helped me easily and quickly make neat surveys. There were various options for answers such as multiple choice or written response, so I could gain the specific information I needed. The online format allowed me to just copy a link and post it onto a social network site, so people could fill out the survey for me. SurveyMonkey collected all the results in and displayed them in various ways from graphs to numbers, so I was able to analyse the data. In the planning stage, I used Facebook to create events to plan and arrange the filming and photo shoots. This was very useful as I could put up all the information, get quick responses, and have an overview of who could attend. Doing things online gives you an almost instant result, so this was helpful during planning. During the construction, I used many forms of media technologies. I used several different video editing programs, starting with Windows Movie Maker. I'd had experience with this before, so it was my first choice. However, it kept freezing, especially when I tried to load big files. This meant parts of my work kept getting lost, so I used Adobe Premiere, which was installed on the school's computers. This wasn't ideal because I had to take my footage to school and only had limited amounts of time to work there. I also didn't know how to use the software, and it seemed confusing and often jumped. Finally, I installed Sony Vegas Movie Studio onto my laptop. Despite not having any experience with it, I found it very easy to use. I could handle the files without freezing, and there were a lot more video effects. It gave me several different layers for videos, so I found I could work with different bits together. I also used After Effects during construction to make my titles, as this is used to animate images. For the construction of my ancillary tasks, I used Adobe Photoshop to edit the photos by changing the contrast, exposure and saturation, and then to add the text layers and other effects. I'd had experience with the software before, so I was able to use this proficiently. Media technologies were especially helpful when collecting feedback. YouTube was good for creating a channel and posting all my videos, which allowed people to comment on them. I posted links to my videos on Facebook and Twitter, and collected feedback from both these social networking sites. Most of the friends I have on these sites are in my age group, so that correlates with my target audience, giving me the feedback that I need to make my products appeal to them. These websites made collecting feedback extremely easy and quick, so I could make changes almost immediately. I could have used more websites such as Tumblr or Vimeo, or asked friends to share the links with their friends to get an even wider circle of feedback, but I thought this was enough. This all links to the use of Web 2.0 and how it has changed in recent years to make things more accessible to the public. Film trailers can be quickly loaded, whereas before people only saw trailers at the cinema. The expansion of Web 2.0 has led to a more personal media where people can discuss ideas and opinions on things more easily, enabling me to get feedback and advertise my film.